Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Take a few brief questions and answers, inshallah ta'ala, regarding divorce, a widespread problem which many Muslims are afflicted and affected by, if not most, if not all, on one level or another. If you're still married to your wife, alhamdulillah, you're still married to your husband, your sister, your brother, you remarried, your wife has children, your husband has children, you know someone, you have arguments, you have fights, you need counseling. On one level or another, most Muslims, or all Muslims, if not most Muslims, come in some type of contact with it, one way or another, and one level or another. So many people, they say, well, I don't need to learn about this, or I shouldn't learn about this, I don't have no problems, it's depressing. Or some people, with their ignorance, they even go as far to say, don't teach the rulings of divorce because it encourages people to divorce their wives. Or it'll encourage a woman to get a divorce from her husband. Well, a lot of people, they say things like this. Okay, no problem. So therefore, let's take out the whole entire chapter out of the Quran. Surah Al-Talaq should never be recited, should never be read, correct? An entire chapter. Not a verse, but a what? An entire what? An entire chapter. Chapter number what? Which one is the Talaq? Number 60 something. Not good enough, Ahmed. Close enough isn't good enough. Also, Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah talks about the rulings of divorce extensively. Naam. And many other ayat as well. Allah talks in what surah about al-dhihar. Al-mujadila. Also, what else does it speak on divorce in the Quran? We mentioned Baqarah, Surah 33, Al-Ahzab. And the list goes on and on and on. So to show you the ignorance of that statement. The ignorance of that what? Of that statement. So if you're not experiencing a problem, that's tayyib. But it doesn't mean that you don't have to know and you shouldn't learn. And the general rule is the more knowledge that you get, even if it's something that isn't necessarily practical to you, the better it is for you. Because knowledge is a light. Knowledge is what? Is a light. And you never know when you'll need it. And when someone will come to you, your friends, your family members, your relatives, and you can give them the proper nasiha. Ad-deenun nasiha. That's the concept of knowledge. You never know when you'll need it. And you never know when you have to be there for someone else. And the more that you learn about the sharia, even if you learn zakat, you don't have no money to pay zakat, it should increase your iman. And you should get closer to Allah by learning the religion, the basics of the religion. Everybody understand this? So this is a very important concept. Let alone the fact when most of us have major problems in what? In marriage. And it may be a time in which it's necessary to get divorced or obligatory. And it may be a time which is haram or is disliked. Getting divorced has rulings. 5 rulings apply to it. There's no one ruling to divorce. Sometimes divorce is wajib. It's a must. It has to be done. And sometimes it's haram. It cannot be done. Sometimes marriage is recommended. A divorce is recommended. So the best thing to do is to get divorced. And sometimes it's disliked. It's makruh. You shouldn't do it. And other times it's mubah. It's no ruling that pertains to it. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. There's no reward. There's no sin. Everybody understand this? The 5 rulings of Al-Islam. That which is mandatory and that which is haram. That which is recommended and that which is disliked. And then we have the thing that doesn't attach itself to one of those rulings, which is called mubah. It's unprescribed. You wouldn't wear a jacket, a sweater, a poncho. That's your discretion. Blue, red, whatever color you want to wear. Whatever fabric you want to wear. It's mubah. It has no reward, no sin. Unless you attach it to something. This hadith says wear this color. This hadith says you shouldn't wear that color. وَهَكَذَا. So there's the 5 main rulings in Al-Islam. And divorce pertains, or these 5 rulings pertain to what? To divorce in Al-Islam. Sometimes divorce is mandatory. Sometimes it's the exact opposite. It's haram. La yajuz. You can't do it. Everybody understand the Sunnah? This is in brief, simple crash course before we read some of these questions. Khair inshallah. So with that being said, the first question says, Ma huwa at-talaq as-sunni? What is the sunnah manner of talaq? The sunnah manner of talaq. If there's a sunnah manner of talaq, then it must mean that there's a what? A bid'ah manner of talaq. If there's a proper way of divorcing, that means there's a way of divorcing which is improper. Which is what? Which is improper. So what's the proper way? The answer, the Mufti, he says, هو طلاق المرأة وهي حامل أو في طهر لم يمسها الزوج فيه. هذا الطلاق السني من حيث الصفة. وأما الطلاق السني من حيث العدد فهو أن يكون الطلاق طلقة واحدة وهذا هو الطلاق المشروع. The answer says, the Sunnah divorce is to divorce a woman. Before we get into the details, there's two aspects, two angles. The first is the description of the divorce, and the second is the actual adad, number of divorces. As far as the description, then it is to divorce a woman while she's either pregnant or she isn't menstruating and there was no intercourse. Either she's pregnant. If she's pregnant, then she's not menstruating. And if she's in a pure state, she's not menstruating, you didn't have no intercourse with her. I.e., she's not pregnant. She's not what? She's not pregnant, regardless or not. If she's pregnant, then she's not supposed to be what? Menstruating. If she's pure, she's not menstruating, she just came off of her menses last night. You didn't have no intercourse with her. She's not what? Pregnant. Are we clear on this? So we understand the opposite. Divorcing a woman in which you had intercourse with her 2 days ago, or last night, or a week ago, when she's still in a pure state, she's still making salah, then that is the talaq of bid'ah. That's the talaq of what? Bid'ah. Everybody understand this? And this also shows that it's permissible to divorce a woman when she is pregnant. It is not haram, as many naming Muslims think. There's no prohibition of that. Everybody clear on this or not? So, first and foremost is the manner for a woman to be in a pure state, either pregnant or no intercourse. Everybody clear on this? Secondly, he says, as far as the number, then it should only be done one time. To say talaq, talaq, talaq 3 times, anti-talaq 3 times, you divorce 3 times, I divorce, that is not the talaq of the sunnah. That's not the talaq of what? Of the sunnah. So, the concept of social issues, marital therapy, we're not getting into that right now. We're not getting into the philosophical things of divorce right now. The advice, the counseling, we're not talking about that right now. We're just talking about the technical rulings of it right now. We're clear on this? What do you do when you have problems with your wife? Who do you go see? Who do you talk to? Do you leave the house? We're not what? Discussing that what? No. Right now. We're discussing an ultimatum in which it's clear that it should be done. That the talaq what? Should be done. How to do it the proper way. How to do it the what? The proper way. Everybody understand this? So, if a man has intercourse with his wife, and then later on, 30 minutes later, they get into a big argument, a big fight, because of her mother, or her father, or money, or whatever things people get into arguments over. No? And then he says, you're divorced. He has fallen to divorce of what? Bid'ah. Everybody clear on this? Or if she was in a pure state, and he says, I divorce you 3 times. According to this fatwa, that is the talaq of what? Bid'ah. Everybody clear on this? Now, does the talaq of bid'ah count or not? We didn't get there yet. We didn't what? We didn't get there yet. Does it count? Is it valid? Which is one of the most common spread problems that people always ask about. I divorced my wife, she was menstruated. Does it count? I divorced my wife, we had intercourse, we got into a fight. Does it count? That's a different what? It's a different ruling. Right now, this basic elementary teaching is that this is the talaq of the sunnah. This is the talaq of the what? Of the sunnah. Next question says, ما هو الطلاق البدعي من حيث الصفة ومن حيث العدد? Question is, what is the talaq of bid'ah with regards to its description and its actual number? The exact opposite of what we just learned. هو طلاق المرأة وهي حائض أو في طهر قد جامعه الزوج فيه. هذا من حيث الصفة. أما من حيث العدد فهو أن يطلق الرجل المرأة طلقتين أو 3 في وقت واحد وهو حرام بالإجماع. As far as talaq bid'ah, then it is to divorce a woman in one of the 2 scenarios. Number 1, she's menstruating. It's haram to divorce a woman who's what? Menstruating. Or if she's not menstruating, to divorce her in a state of purity in which he slept with her. In which he what? Slept with her. So let's say she has a menstruation for 5 days out of the month. Mathalan, she came off her menstruation on the 6th day of the month. You had intercourse with her on the 21st day out of the month. That was many, many days since the 6th. It's still what? Haram. Why? Because you don't know if she is or not. Until the beginning of next month and she gets her menstruation, she's not pregnant. Or she misses her menstruation and say what? Take a pregnancy test. It seems as if she's pregnant. So to divorce a woman in a state of menstruation is talaq of bid'ah. To divorce a woman in a state of purity, she's making salat, she's fasting, but you're in intercourse with her regardless, whether it was a day ago, a week ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 hours ago. Al-Muhim is in the pure what? State. She did not go into the new cycle of menstruation. Everybody clear on this or not? As far as the number, then it is for a man to divorce his wife 2 times or 3 times in one sitting, one period, one time period. He says, I divorce you twice. In Islam, talaq is only supposed to be how many times? Once. Nope, not even 3. Allah says in the Quran, talaqu marratan. It says divorce is what? 2 times. Then, meaning you have 2 times to come back and get it together, to work it out. After the second divorce, you get back with her, there is no more what? Coming back. No, you can divorce her, but there's no more what? Getting back with her until something else happens. So from one aspect, the divorce is, and from another aspect, it's 3. But the third time is 3 strikes and you're out. Kalas. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? So in baseball, how many strikes can you afford? In reality, it's only what? It's only 2. But at the same time, you're not out until? Everybody clear on this? But once you get the 3rd strike is what? Kalas, next batter. Everybody understand this concept? What? In reality, there are only how many strikes, Ahmed? 2. Because once the 3rd strike comes, there's what? Kalas. But I have 2 strikes for the 3rd time, the next pitch, it could be a ball, or I could hit it. It could be a foul, etc. Everybody got this or not? So from one aspect, the divorce in Islam is only actually what? 2 times. And from another aspect, the divorce is what? 3 times. But once you make the 3rd divorce, then that's, everybody clear on this or not? So the talaq of bid'ah is to divorce her, and you're sitting, you're angry, you get into an argument, or you're just tired. I don't want to keep arguing and fighting in front of the kids. Kalas. I divorce you 2 times. That's talaq of bid'ah. He's only supposed to do it what? Once. And there's other 2 opposed to what? Remain. Everybody clear on this? So that's talaq of bid'ah. He says, and this talaq here is haram. It's unlawful, according to all of the fuqaha. All of the ulama of Islam, they say that it's what? Unlawful. It cannot be done. Now, that's the end of that answer. But does it mean it counts or not? That's still a different ruling. Question 3 says, هل يجوز لرجل أن يطلق زوجته حال الحيض أو ينتظر حتى تطهر? Is it permissible for a man to divorce his wife while she's menstruating, or is he to wait until she becomes pure? And look at the wisdom of that before we move forward. If she's menstruating and she has 3 more days or 4 more days until she becomes pure, he says, I'm going to divorce you when you get off the menses. Perhaps some person's anger may what? Settle. Or perhaps you may make it up. Or perhaps you may discover that what you thought she said or did, she actually didn't do or say. It's wisdom and not rushing. Everybody clear on this? And once you make a clear decision, if you still feel like you want a divorce, you won't regret it. You won't what? You won't regret it because you had time to think it out thoroughly. Calm down, to make salat, to make dua, to look at the pros and the cons, and to think about it realistically instead of just rushing into it head first. Everybody understand? It's in the heat of the moment, as we say. In the what? The heat of the moment. He says, لا يجوز طلاق الرجل امرأته حال الحيض كما أنه لا يجوز للرجل أن يطلق زوجته في طهر قد مسها فيه ومن طلق زوجته بحيض فهو آثم وكذلك من طلق زوجته في طهر قد مسها فيه فهو آثم أيضا وهذا يسمى طلاقا بدعيا ومحرم عند جميع العلماء ولكنه ينفذ كما سيأتي. أما الطلاق الذي يكون في طهر لم يمس الرجل فيه زوجته فيسمى بالطلاق السني وهو نافذ عند جميع العلماء. Question or the answer says, it is impermissible, once more, for a man to divorce his wife while she's menstruating. Just like He says it is impermissible for a man to divorce his wife in a state of purity in which he slept with her. Okay, he says, and anyone who does this, then he is sinful. He's what? He's sinful. He's done something which is haram. He's sinful. He made something which is a mistake. It's wrong. He is a sin. And this is called the talaq of bid'ah. And this is haram according to all of the ulama. According to what? There's no difference. No madhab, Shafi, Ahmed, all of them saying that it's impermissible to do. However, he says, walakinno, however, yunaffadhu, it is executed. It counts. As is going to come later on, we'll explain later on, is that it does what? It counts, even though it's haram. And he says, and when a man divorces his wife in a state in which he did not sleep with her, she's not menstruating, he says, then that's called a talaq of the sunnah, talaq sunni. And that is something which counts according to all of the ulama as well. According to all the ulama, what? As well. So, these three fatwas here, we'll stop as we give him the Qadi, rahimahullah ta'ala, Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Umrani, was one of the judges of Yemen. He passed away, and Allah have mercy upon him. These questions come from a radio program when he was alive in Yemen, when he would explain certain books, whether it's Durr al-Bahiyya or other books. And in this program, he would mention, perhaps we'll read it later, he says the most of the questions that we get pertain to divorce. As we mentioned in the khutbah before, it's not just America. Or some people, they say, well, my country, where I come from, everybody gets divorced. Anyone from an urban city who gets divorced a lot. Black Americans always get divorced. Reverts get divorced. Guyanese people, no. It says what? All around the board. And oftentimes, people that don't get divorced, that don't have high divorce rates, is oftentimes because of cultural and social repercussions. It doesn't mean that they live happily ever after, and they sit and they drink tea and eat biscuits happily. Doesn't mean that. And this goes to show you that there's a balance in Islam. There's a what? A balance. Is that there is a place for culture. There's a place for a social norm. There's a place for certain repercussions. There are places for these things. But the dominant thing, the one that takes the biggest section of that chart, is a what? Is the deen. So many people, they think that, only people from overseas get divorced and they have these problems. Come from Egypt. Wallahi, he swears divorce. He gets angry. Or from Algeria. They have a stereotype about Algerians. So they get extremely angry. Just hot-blooded, blow up with rage. The concept of the problem of divorce is what? Everybody suffers from it. On one level or what? Or another. 2018, women working, men not working, pornography, America, all these problems add to it. Everyone on one level or another, as we said, is on some type of what? Effect by it. All right, clearness? Wallahu ta'ala alam. What's important is the scholars of Islam, they differ on the issue of talaq bid'ah counting or not. And one of the reasons why those who say it doesn't count, they say it's haram. How can it count and it's against the sharia? Man amila amalan laysa alayhi amruna fahuwa radd. The Prophet says anyone who does something and it's not in agreement with what we have legislated, then it's rejected. And then other ulama, they say no, it does count, even though he's sinful, based off of other texts. Whether it be the hadith of Abdullah bin Umar, in which the Prophet ﷺ commanded him to take back his wife. And he divorced her in a bid'ah state. And they say, how did he tell her to take her back except that the divorce counted? Everybody understand this? That's a long discussion. What's important is the mufti here, his view is that it does count, even though it's haram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Walhamdulillah rabbil alameen.